Welcome back to Into the Industry. Mine and Alana's beautiful little theater podcast. This is episode 3.
This is episode 3. I'm so excited for this episode. I think that we're really going to start to dive into other aspects in the theater industry that
Absolutely.
are not just acting. Because, God forbid there's more.
God forbid actors talk about anything else but acting. And if you missed us last week, we did have a whole conversation about survival jobs, which I feel we had a lovely back and forth about it, about how to find different jobs, what kind of jobs will benefit you if you are a performer and need a different kind of income, I would say.
How to balance having a survival job and being a performer at the same time.
So if you missed
really
that
good episode.
If you missed that episode, that was last week. And this week we have a guest. It was just us last week, and now we get to bother someone else with our antics again, which is really nice. But I would say before we get to our guest, I would like to bring up the topic of Broadway in its current state. Mm-hmm. Enter Sweaty Oracle. No, I will say because this is my tidbit that I wanted to say this week. I feel like there's been so many movie stars making their Broadway debuts.
Yeah.
Especially in this last season. I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. made his debut, but he was in that McNeil play or whatever the fuck. George Clooney. Jake Gyllenhaal's back on Broadway. Denzel Washington's back on Broadway. All these movie stars are really coming in this season.
Kieran Culkin
making his Broadway debut. That all in, all
yes.
those
yes, all those celebrities.
Which I still don't know what that show was about.
They're just, I think, reading stories.
They have staged reading.
It's a staged reading.
I just feel maybe. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing because it's really bringing people to the theater, which is nice. But also it's God, you're really just making it the star show, aren't you?
I definitely think that. I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. And I do want to preface this by saying this is just our opinion about this.
Baby George Clooney, if you ever want to hit me up.
He's gorgeous. He's not no longer salt and pepper for this show. He is dyed his hair. It's brown. He's gorgeous.
Yeah, hair designed by Leah Lucas.
Yeah, stunning. No, so yeah, this is just our opinion, but I think that it is kind of a double-edged sword because I think that it has a lot to do with post-pandemic and just Broadway trying to make its money back.
Yeah.
And I think that truthfully it is bringing a lot of people to Broadway, but my thing is that is it bringing the right people to Broadway? Because the only people that can afford it to see them are the people that have money.
Wow.
So that is kind of where I'm just it's great because the theater industry is making money and these shows are kind of making money back, but who's seeing them? The top people of the top people that are able to afford that $600, $700, $900 ticket.
Yeah, why am I paying Beyonce level ticket prices for the Picture of Dorian Gray?
Right. Well, she is fantastic, and that's not saying that these actors are not fantastic. They're obviously they are the best of their craft. But who's saying that I feel it's very rare for a student of art to be able to go see these shows. And that's just to say because I have heard that Othello is giving out student tickets and stuff, which is fantastic, but I just don't know. I think that it's a good thing, but I also think that it's bad because theater has continuously been inaccessible to people because of the pricing,
and it will continue to be,
and this is just prolonging that issue, I feel.
Yeah, it is. But I agree with you. Theater is losing money, which this is a great talk about because we're going to talk about someone who knows a lot about theater money. Mm-hmm. Theater has been losing money even before the pandemic, but especially post-pandemic. Nothing has been able to stay open. So everybody's first thing is we need to get somebody in this show that is going to sell the show, and even more than sell the show. baby, if we're making money, we're going to be making money. Bump those ticket prices up to $600.
Right.
Hamilton circa 2016. But like, I don't know. I wanted to bring it up as like a talking point because again, we're going to talk about money a little later.
Yeah.
Like what I don't know if there's a solution to that. I don't know if it's just like, well, this is what theater is now. Everything's going to cost $300. Go see Escape to Margaritaville on tour.
And I will also say that I think that us growing up, like we have come into a time where we have no more like making of Broadway stars.
I don't think that's true.
Really?
Joy Woods, girl?
Well, I feel like it rarely happens, but I'm like, I feel like we're not in an era of like, you know, Patty
Who's the next?
and Barbara and Audra and Bernadette, like that era, you know, who is the next? I feel like it's very hard and very rare. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I feel like it's so much more rare for people to come up that way because there's become such a roadblock with this celebrityism that's happening on Broadway right now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
that's
see
what I'm saying. I'm
now.
not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that like where we are right now, it has become so hard to push through.
Yeah. And there's only so many people that even get like the recognition anymore either.
Exactly.
So I think speaking of all of this and like the state of Broadway and how they think, I think we should bring in our guest.
Yeah.
Andrew McLaughlin.
Andrew, welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
Wow.
Applause on everything. Wow, feeling very special today.
We welcome you to our live studio audience. Welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
And Andrew actually work together. Andrew is our assistant company manager over at Oh Mary.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little the networking we have here, bringing in people that are working, still working, are working. I rise.
Exactly.
Slay.
So Andrew, tell us who you are, what you do, what you love to do, your favorite hobbies, and your favorite color.
Oh my gosh, what I do my
Not
favorite color.
specifically in that order.
Well, let me start with the favorite hobbies and the favorite color because I'll probably forget about those if I don't. My favorite color is definitely blue for sure.
What shade of blue?
Hate blue.
Ooh, probably like a royal blue.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes.
Sorry, that's
We both went.
royal blue. Favorite hobbies? I love a little TV movie. Love that. Also, magic is a little bit of a hobby for me.
Don't get me
It's
started on Andrew's magic capabilities.
We can do a whole separate episode about that.
Which I have to say, I witnessed Andrew's magic capabilities the other night, and I was like jaw on the floor.
When I say maybe I've never been to a magic show and maybe it takes very little to impress me because I was gagged. Just card tricks. I was like, so tell me who you pray to, because this is demonic.
No, it was impressive. It was definitely impressive.
Well, thank you.
And tell us what you do.
So, like Darion said, I'm the assistant company manager for Oh Mary. I moved to New York like 3 years ago.
A baby.
I know. And I was doing company management a little bit before that in Buffalo. I actually started as a stage manager. Loved that. Loved calling a show. Loved the day-to-day. Loved herding the cats. But hated the rehearsal process.
Right.
Hated the rehearsal process.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was my least favorite thing. And I was like, I want to keep doing theater stuff, theater management. And I know I want to move to New York City, but I don't want to be a stage manager because I hate the rehearsal process and because there's just too many stage managers. There's so many. Not as many as there are actors, of course. But I want to do something where I'm going to have a little bit more job stability because I'm a job stability queen.
Well, paycheck.
Says the one who works in theater. But as much as we can have job stability.
Yes.
And I was working at this theater, this little regional theater in Buffalo. And I had been the stage / production manager there for like 2 years. And they were like expanding, like becoming really growing. And they were bringing on a full-time like production manager, technical director person. And they were like, we really want to keep you, but we want to kind of give you something to grow in like your last year here before you move to the city. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, what if I was the company manager? And they were like, okay. So I did contracts and ticketing things, and just like general well-being of everyone that was working on the productions there for like the last year that I was there, and then I moved, and that's kind of what I've been doing ever since.
Lovely. And how did you? What was your first show coming and moving to New York City?
Yeah, my first show, I did a little bit on Between the Lines as a COVID safety person. That was like technically the very first thing I worked on when I moved, which was this lovely little show at the Tony Kaiser. And
Second stage.
That's like right, exactly. And then right after that, I worked on Hip-Prov, which was a show, like a comedy hypnosis show, with a hypnotist and then Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyways? And we had just a lovely little time at the Darryl Roth Theater in Union Square.
Yeah, I thought when I first heard about that show, I thought it was like hip hop improv.
No, it is totally hypnosis and comedy.
I was like, they do improv. Isn't that just Freestyle Love Supreme?
Yeah, I think so.
That was a good show. I saw that.
Great show. Anyway, sorry.
Well, no. And
I was wrong. It wasn't hip hop and improv.
Hypnosis, plot twist. And we had just the best little time. It's also like such a like niche little show with the magic background kind of thing. So yeah, we had just the greatest time. And that was my first technical company management job moving to the city.
How long have you been working on Broadway?
Well, so after Hip-Prov, I ended up going to a GM firm to work for a little while.
And by GM, you mean general management.
General management. Thank you for calling out my terms. I'm going to try to do better at that. General management, and I that was my first job after Hip-Prov, and that was a pivot away from company management, mostly because I couldn't find a company management job right after that, and this office was hiring, and so my first technical, I guess, Broadway show that I worked on that was still open was The Music Man. I finished that show there, in that office, and then also finished the Come From Away tour that was out, the first national tour that was still going, and then did Melissa Etheridge on Broadway there, which was super fun at Circle in the Square. Yeah. And then, so those are my first few in the GM office. My first show on the company management team was Days of Wine and Roses.
Starring Kelly O'Hara
and Brian Darcy James. Yes. And that was a lovely, lovely show. Still miss it.
The AA musical of the year.
AA musical of the year. Definitely not for everyone, but for those who loved it. Thank you for coming. And,
right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. And we did have a good time, and I do miss the people in that show sometimes. So
that's like amazing accomplishments in like just
a short amount of
3
time.
years in the city. Like that.
Also, you're a baby.
I am.
Yeah.
I know.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
That's.
I remember when I was 25.
Right, because you two are both so much older than I.
I'm not 25.
I know you're not.
I still am.
I'm not 25.
I got like 3 more weeks.
Right.
But also, I've known you obviously since we both started working at O'Mary together.
Almost a year. Crazy.
Almost a year. Girl, when I booked that show, I was told it was 11 weeks. 11 weeks, my ass.
And here we are.
Cut to me being like, so what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be more shows? Are we doing shows? And then we just had our 300th show last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Such accomplishments. I know.
That's amazing.
Alana's really excited for us.
I know before you said that you also wanted to bring up like your little thoughts on what we had talked about in our earlier segment.
I'd love to.
Yeah, surprise. Andrew was here the whole time.
He was here listening the whole time, but we told him that he couldn't say anything. Not until now. So I would love to hear your thoughts on like what we talked about with like celebrityism on Broadway.
Yeah, I was totally a little fly on the wall listening. So I think that it's such a topical conversation right now in so many different ways. And I love a lot of the things that both of you said. I think something even specifically from like my perspective, post-COVID, it's been so difficult to get to those post-COVID numbers, that we had, or sorry, pre-COVID numbers that we had, just with people coming back to the city in general, but also Broadway specific. And a creative way, you could say creative, I guess, way that producers and folks have thought to get audiences back is by bringing in stars, right? Because a name will draw people inherently to the show. But that, like you both have mentioned, does limit opportunities for other folks. It also almost creates like an unsustainable model for the show itself sometimes.
Yeah.
Because these stars
Yeah.
are very expensive. And the moment you bring someone in, you know, the budgets increase, salaries increase, and then it becomes harder to actually recoup and make money. So yes, while it may be driving people to the show, it then becomes exponentially harder to actually make money from
While
that.
doing the show.
So it's a very interesting model, and
Yeah, and
trend
that's
right
a very business side of things.
Mm-hmm.
We were definitely viewing it more of like a
Audience,
how it makes
like
the audience
Yeah.
a little less accessible, or how it kind of pivots. But that's also a great point to make and be like,
It's
also
unsustainable.
like bringing these people onto the show, unless you're like Wicked, where you can make millions of dollars a week, and maybe that bank has been full for a very long time. It's like some of these shows stunt casting as a way to like bring people to the show to help save the show.
And I
Right.
feel like the only show that's done that like really well recently has been Chicago.
Chicago has
Well, that's all
made
they've
their
been
model.
doing.
That is why they're still open, and they are
Yes.
they're doing it.
They're like, this is it now.
Yeah.
Also, Hadestown.
Hadestown has done that too.
Hadestown has just been like the circle of like new Eurydice, new Orpheus, new like, and it's always somebody. And Jordan Fisher, I think, besides Reeve Carney himself, has been the longest Orpheus, and he was on the show for like a little over a year.
Right.
Just kept re-signing.
I feel like those shows too have been really good at finding celebrities that aren't like huge, right? Like they're not bringing in like the Hugh Jackmans and the Denzel Washingtons of the
because
world.
they're gonna do a couple months and leave.
Exactly. They're bringing in like these people that they know will bring an audience, but they're not going to cost them 3 arms and 3 legs. They might just cost 1 arm and 1 leg, you know?
Yeah. And also, yeah, I get that. I mean, I think about that all the time just because I work backstage. But yeah, sometimes these people that they bring in, they're like, oh, we're bringing in like baby. They cost more than the entire ensemble combined.
Exactly. The other thing it does too is it makes the ticket prices go up, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to make money.
Exactly. And that's problematic, and you know, it is totally part of the cycle as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely an issue that I hope as we move further and further past, you know, the pandemic, we can, you know, hopefully move past that more and or find more creative ways to make.
Yeah. I hope that I really, really do hope that this is just like a phase that we're going through, that we kind of turn to an area of Broadway that really celebrates new works and new people, and that we can kind of like move to being, you know, more open to the creativity that is this art form.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's kind of really been the hard thing to do. And like we've said before, the post-pandemic coming back to theater, because it's just like, when I say the pandemic really done messed up what Broadway looked like before, it's
Really,
crazy.
it really
I would
did.
say it's literally feels like night and day.
Yeah.
But you know, it's whatever.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your
my gosh.
thoughts on that with us.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to.
Yeah. So let's get back to this company manager talk. So I would love for you to kind of like explain to us and to the audience, like, what is a company manager? And then kind of I would love to hear like
Your
kind of,
relationship with the show, and
like, your relationship with the show that you have, like what you do. And if you want to just maybe like take us through like a day in the life of a company manager, I think that would be quite interesting for everybody to hear.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, before I start, if I can ask y'all a question.
yes.
Before I like lay down
do.
before I lay down the tea, what do you think a company manager is? And what is, like, if you've had a relationship with a company manager before, like how has it been? What do they do in your eyes?
I'm going to go first because I feel like you have a deeper connection with a company manager than I do, because I have not been like an actor and have like worked with a company manager. So, but I think that I and my like admin side have done tasks that company managers do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where my relationship with a company manager comes in, because like feel like I'm kind of like half of one sometimes. But, you know, I feel like they are there to manage the title no, but I'm saying
Right.
like the title is in the name. They are there to manage the company. That means, you know, the crew, the other staff that they have, the actors, production, creative, like they are there to manage them. That includes like, you know, housing sometimes.
Sure.
Yes.
We'll get there. We'll
yes.
get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That includes like housing, a lot of like dealing with ticketing and like ticketing requests and all of that stuff, and doing payroll. That I know. That's like one of like
For
the
some.
tasks that you guys do. But yeah, I can't say a ton because I feel like I haven't had like a relationship with like a company manager in the sense of like a working relationship.
Well, company management to me, for me, company management literally is in terms of the tree of how Broadway shows work. Company management are the people, there is a general management firm, business. How would you say that?
Love a firm.
Like-
I usually say firm.
Like
I
a
think
general
firm.
management firm that actually like manages like when it comes to like the actual making of the show happen, when it comes to giving out the contracts, when it comes to budgeting the show, when it comes to actually holding the producers money. Like that's what like a GM firm does. The company managers are, and a GM firm can manage multiple shows at the same time. The company managers are those representatives from the GM firm that only work on that one show. So like they are the middlemen, women, people between the actual production, the company, and our GM firm. So the people who run the show, have the money, do with like the ticketing, the producers and everything. They are our middle ground for me, for like a person part of the crew, part of the company. But in saying that, they do deal with when it comes to like box office stuff with the show, ticketing, house seats, payroll for specific crew members, but not all, and the cast and cast altercations before it goes to HR.
right.
Was I
Were we
in the
correct?
ballpark?
Okay, I love these answers. I think both of you are so correct on all the things you said. And
He goes, but actually, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
But I think that you two, of course, have maybe more of an understanding than a lot of people do, especially people who don't work in the industry.
Yeah.
Of what a company manager is. But yeah, you're totally right. The company manager is middle management. We are the people who work under the general manager, the general management firm, or the general manager if they're an independent general manager, which is, I would say, less common these days. Used to be more common. Work for the producer. Everyone works for the producer, but the GM is like the first person hired by the producer. And then once a show is ready to do some sort of iteration, whether that be a workshop or off Broadway or Broadway, then you usually bring on a company manager. And that person is the person who is solely focused on the production that you're doing, while the GM is working on many other, things at the same time. The company manager really gets to focus on that one production, and is in charge of running the day-to-day. If we were to like bring it into a corporate universe, typically we'd like to say like an operations manager is like the closest kind of relationship to what it might be, to that corporate side of things. But we are kind of the odd jobs people. We do everything from payroll. Depending on how long a show is running or how an office works, we dabble in contracts, sometimes. Really anything with the box office. There are nowadays ticketing managers, ticketing directors, who will work on shows who definitely are more of like the strategic ticketing folks, looking more at strategy and kind of that bigger picture on things, but like the day-to-day management of tickets, specifically like house seats and comps and who's using the tickets, and checking to make sure, we have enough folks in the house and things like that. That's typically still going to be the company manager.
Lovely.
Yeah. We're working with the box office every day, so we have a good relationship with them. And then like there are super random things, right? Like if there's VIPs at the show, we do that. If there's catering, housing, so it's really
Food crew meal.
crew meals, yeah. Just like fun things.
Sounds like you do a lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's really an
But
interesting
it's a lot
job.
of like coordinations of those things. So
Yes.
you're saying like if a VIP is coming to a show, you're dealing with like
Almost
their
sometimes the VIP directly or
the
their
VIP
assistants.
directly or their assistants in order to say like, you know, you're coming to the stage door at this time, like we'll have somebody to escort you to your seats, come back, like this is what like the meeting is and everything.
Somebody being Andrew.
Correct. Like it is being a company manager is coming to the theater, setting up catering for people to eat, taking it down after, cleaning up, while also simultaneously 30 minutes later, Ellen DeGeneres asking you if she can go to the bathroom, and it you being your decision to decide that, and then also the next morning, David Copperfield calling you on your cell phone. That's what the
Right.
job encompasses.
Yeah,
And me saying decline.
you'd be like, who the hell is calling me?
Who's calling
Yeah.
me?
Well, that's amazing, and it honestly sounds a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
It definitely is like it is details coordination. That is like
Yeah.
at the crux of it. It is details coordination, and it is just like people management. I would say those are like the two biggest things that the job entails.
Yeah. And I once heard that you had a life in performing as well, not just magic, but
I did. I may have been Teen Angel in
in
Greece.
production of Grease.
Oh my god.
Darian may have a video of
I
it.
had the video. Here's the video now. Play. Welcome back. How was it for you?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I was in a few high school productions. I haven't done anything after that, beside from magic, which is performing in its own right. But yeah, I did have a little stint as a high school performer.
Oh my gosh,
So
the way.
interesting.
Listen, if you ever know me personally, don't ever send me videos of you doing anything because I keep them and I will hold them against you for the rest of your life.
And play them
That
loudly in
is-
front of large
And play
groups
them-
of people.
In front of random groups of people, might I add.
But it's okay. That's how we all become closer.
Exactly.
I kind of wanted to touch on something that you said before because I'm a little interested to hear. You said that you didn't like stage management because you didn't like the rehearsal process.
Yeah.
Why did you not like the rehearsal process? Because I feel like that is a lot of people's like favorite
Mm-hmm.
part.
Yes, I agree with you. A lot of people when I say that are like, "What?" I don't know, like I think I've never loved the development of theater. Like even like when I was working as a GM.
Get to the point
exactly.
of like what this is.
Right. Even when I was working as a GM, like I worked on, not as a GM, but and as part of a GM company, I was working on so many like developmental pieces, and that was a huge part of my job was like company managing developmental readings and things like that. And I didn't really like it. What I like about theater, I am such a spectacle theater person. Like if you put a spectacle piece of theater, go see Stranger Things, in front of me, I am going to
Deal.
love it. It comes from the magic background. It really does. Like I love a spectacle. I love a thing. And so I just want to like get down and do it. So
Do
like
you dig with Harry Potter?
on Broadway or just in general?
Yikes.
I mean, the answer might be the same. I'm asking though. Still,
Yeah, on Broadway.
I dug Harry Potter on Broadway. Also go see that.
What about on tour?
Haven't seen it on tour.
What about in Chicago?
Haven't seen it in Chicago.
Have you only seen it on Broadway?
Correct.
Oh, then you made it sound like there was like
the one that is in Chicago is the tour.
yeah, but they do like long stops.
They
No,
do
I
do
thought it-
long
They did
Zitowns,
do long
yeah.
stops. So they
Long
did like
Zitowns.
But
they did like months in Chicago. Now they're in like LA. I have a friend on it.
Boo. Bring back the 2-part version.
I'm sad I didn't get to see that, to be honest. I really would.
I would much rather
Yeah,
sit
good.
through 2 completely different shows with like a break in between than watching a 3.5-hour show.
Yeah. I mean, I liked
Deep.
it, but
Also,
yeah, no.
They
So
do that twice. They have like
Yeah,
2 show
that's-
days like that. That's crazy.
they're doing the
Where
thing.
you're just
Crazy.
doing the show for almost 7 straight hours.
Yeah, no, they're doing
like
the
of
thing.
the show actually going on.
Yeah,
7
no.
hours.
Couldn't be me. I understand what you're saying though, that you don't like the development of it, but I think that that's where you probably realized that you were like, wait, I'm very like A to B. I'm not like A to B to C to D
Yeah.
and then back to A and then you know.
I just find more enjoyment of like doing the actual show because my thrill comes from standing in the back of the house each night and watching the show go up. Literally all the nights that we cover, we usually split on the CM team if there's 2 people, half and half. But all those nights that I cover, getting to stand in the back of the house and literally watch the curtain go up and everyone applaud and being like, we all worked together to do that. And you don't get that at a reading or a developmental thing usually. So that's what I get the enjoyment from. And I'd rather just do it than go through the development to then get there. Does it make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that. I think that's something else that people don't know about company management is that you guys don't start your day in the theater when the show starts. You're not there. Where are you before the curtain goes up?
Yeah. So we work in an office during the day. Now it's usually a GM office, although sometimes it still could be the producer's office. Back in the day, it was very much a producer's office, usually, or it was at least more common. That doesn't typically happen much anymore. You're typically working in the GM office and you're starting in the morning. You know, if it's depending on what's going on, you could start anywhere from 10 to noon. I would say it's typically between there. If it's a slower time or if it's a show that's been running for a really long time, you might be able to get away with coming in later, working from home in the morning or something like that. But we do have a day portion of our job that is in an office typically. And that a lot of people don't know. And then we'll kind of work through the day, work through the afternoon. And then depending on what's going on, we might be going to a press event or we might be going, to an event that's happening at the theater or outside of the theater somewhere. And then in the evening, at least one member of the company management team will go to the theater on the days that we have performances, and then cover the show. And they'll be there for that evening, at least through, I would say, a half an hour into the show, all the way, through the show, depending on what's going on. Could be
and also
different.
depending how long the show is.
Totally, yes. Yeah. And some company managers I know that are working now even have certain things that happen in their show where they actually have to stay through that thing happens because they're involved in making that thing happen. Specifically Sunset Boulevard. There's actually the company managers are the ones that hold the door for the people when they go out onto the street. And then they come back in. It's the company manager that is opening and closing that door. And they don't leave every night until that's done.
Also,
Do you know why
audience participation in
Yeah.
shows too. A lot of the times, that's the company managers that have to do that because it's like a ticketed thing.
Oh, only because it's ticketed, not because it's
So
like...
it's sometimes it
Ticket
depends on the show.
liability, like lots of things, right? Like
Okay.
it's typically something that you kind of decide in the beginning of the show, like if there's something going on, like when is the company manager going to be able to leave? Are they staying all the way through? GM offices also feel differently about it. Like some will make you stay through the show longer than others. So there's lots of different variables to it.
Yeah, I think like and please, if anyone knows, correct me if I'm wrong. I think because Spam-A-Lot, when it just came to Broadway a year ago or 2 years ago, whenever that was, they had if you've ever seen Spam-A-Lot, there's a whole part of it where like they find the Holy Grail, but it's under an audience member's seat, and they literally come onto stage and like take a picture with them and like they sing part of the song with them, but like you couldn't buy that ticket. It had to be like a special thing. People had to pay for it. It was a whole thing. So like it was a stage management thing. The stage managers needed to know what was going on, but the company manager needed to handhold that person and basically until that part of the show.
Wow. I'm sad I didn't get to see that, but
Now,
that does sound
if
like
anyone
something that would
actually
happen.
has insight in that, I might be completely wrong, which I don't think I am, which I might be. I tend to be.
That sounds like it could be a company manager thing
Yeah.
for sure. It's the odds and ends job, so anything really can be.
But, stuff like that, like big crap like that. Go see Joy the Musical.
Shameless plug.
But
Oh, that's cool.
what do you think now? Because also we work together. I know you quite well. And also I know a little bit more than the average person of what a company manager does. You are a part of AppHam. Can you explain what AppHam is and what kind of your job in that is? Well, you're kind of a part of AppHam.
Yeah, no, I'll explain that more. So AppHam is the Association of Theatrical Press Agents and Managers, and it is the union on Broadway. There's 13 unions on Broadway, and AppHam is one of those. And it is the union that oversees press agents, company managers, and house managers, which we're now transitioning into calling them theater managers. And those are the three jobs that fall within AppHam. And there's two chapters. So there's the press agent chapter, and then there's the managers chapter. And press agents have their own chapter, and then theater managers and company managers have their own chapter, the theater or the managers chapter. And that is a little bit of an interesting union because typically managers are not unionized. They typically can't be under, labor law and how unions just function. But it's kind of this weird history of how it's been able to happen. And to save you all the details, it is like the only union of managers that exist really anywhere, but specifically on Broadway. And so Darion said I'm kind of a member of APAM. Correct. I'm an apprentice right now, a no man. And that means that I am working on Broadway for 2 years while learning and working under a company manager who is a full member of the union. And while I'm working on as an apprentice, I'm still getting some of the union benefits, but I'm not a full member yet. And once I become a full member, then I will get those.
It's kind of equal to like the EMC program.
Yes, I would say, yeah.
In terms of like acting.
Yeah. I don't know the full thing on that, but I'm assuming that it's very similar. So basically, we have to work 52 weeks over 2 seasons on a contract, on an apprentice contract. And then we have to sit down and take an exam. And the exam
is a big test too.
It is. It's like the theater bar. It's 2 parts. It's oral and written. And altogether it takes like 6 to 8 hours. And it's pretty intense. And so I'll be taking that this August. And then after that, as long as I pass, then I'll become a full member.
What do you have to like study for that?
The 13 unions.
The big book, honey.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So you
need to know all the contracts.
Yeah, you'll have a test that will break out so many different things, and it'll be like, run a payroll for this in this situation. It'll be like, this is the settlement for the week. What are the royalties that are going to everyone? And since we are a union of not just company managers, the test does entail things that house managers do. So that would be like
And press agents.
And press agents. Well, actually, the press agents, since they're in a different chapter, they have their own thing. So we don't actually have to worry about any of that.
Forgive me.
As in, they don't have to worry about any of our stuff.
Right.
But we do have to worry about theater management things, specifically like payroll for the local 1 crew is something that me as a company manager would never have to worry about, aside from like, what is that? How much is it going to charge our show if we have to do that? I don't actually have to run the payroll for local 1 every week. But I have to know enough about it so that when we take the exam, I know enough about that to answer the question.
Yeah.
Same thing with like things that house managers do, like as part of the oral part, like answering a question of like, if there was a disgruntled patron, blah, 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 and being able to answer that as an oral question. Again, not something I would have to deal with as a company manager, but because I'm taking the exam.
You have to know how that works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can you take us through really quickly, like what the 13 unions are?
Oh gosh, girl, you're going to put me on the spot.
I said, girl, that's not. I said I couldn't even do
Really?
that.
No,
you don't have to.
I can do my
out.
best. Like I can definitely give you a good chunk of them. So there's 798, which is
Slay.
we're in good company.
I am a proud member of 798.
Those are going to be our hair and makeup
IATSE.
folks. There's 764, which is going to be wardrobe. Randomly, they also cover child guardians
care.
as well.
The kid wranglers.
They used to be called kid wranglers. We're not allowed to use that anymore.
Well,
Child guardians.
Never
Well,
mind.
I'm not a part of this, so they're called the child wranglers.
They're the guardians of the shields.
and that's also a big part because the child guardians help dress the kids in
Yeah.
the show too. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's 764. There's USA, which is going to be our designers. I believe their local is 829, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, United Scenic Artists, and they are designers, scenic designers, lighting designers, costume designers,
Hair and makeup.
to come.
Almost.
There's SDC, which is going to be the stage directors, choreographers, newly also associate directors and choreographers as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. ATPAN, which we talked about. Of course, Equity, which is going to be our actors and stage managers. And then there's lots of other front of house unions. So there's like 32BJ, which is like ushers. There's folks who deal with porters, ticket takers, and lots of other unions that I don't necessarily have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
But they're in this space.
They're in the space. And cumulatively, they all come together to be 13. The one union I forgot to leave out, there's IATSE, which is a large branching union, which like actually APAM is a part of, and 798 and 764 also
And Local 1.
branches under. But yeah, so there's 13 of them. There's lots. And we're basically all of Broadway is unionized. There's very, very few jobs on Broadway that are not unionized. GMs and General managers and production managers are really the only two that I can think of on the spot. Pretty much everything else is unionized.
Yeah, come on, unions.
Well, I say
we do
you passed
union
that
work
test.
here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, like, I guess I didn't. I mean, I knew everybody had their own place, and everyone kind of has their own, like, because everyone, especially on Broadway, everyone has their own set of rules of things I can and can't do, and it's so based on our unions and our locals and everything like that. And the company management is kind of the people who have to, like, dictate that. Like, even on jobs like mine, where, like, I might need to ask wardrobe to do something specific, and sometimes it comes down to, like, well, we have to ask permission if they're actually allowed to do that, and vice versa. Me, sometimes there needs to be an extra hand in a costume change and there's not an extra hand, and sometimes it's like, well, I don't know if I'm technically allowed to do that. We might have to review with someone and stuff like that. So, like, it's always good to have people in the building that actually know the rules to be like, we can, or we might need to seek advice to higher levels of this.
And just a small tangent too, back to kind of the financial aspect of it, since we're talking about unions now. Unions are a huge part of what makes Broadway so expensive. It's so fantastic that there's so much union representation on Broadway. But, like, for example, if we're going to compare it to the West End, which is very, very different,
Yikes.
much, much, much cheaper, a huge difference between those two things is going to be the union representation that is very, 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 very prevalent on Broadway and less so on the West End. So it's a very, very good thing, but it is just one of the aspects that makes Broadway so expensive.
We just talked about a lot of hullabaloo, a lot of fine details and stuff. What has been your favorite thing since moving to New York and being a company manager that you've gotten to do from being a company manager?
Okay, my favorite thing, it's not Broadway, but it was when I was closing out the Come From Away tour, the first national tour that closed, gosh, is that like 2 years ago now? A year and a half, something like that. For the closing of the tour, they took the entire GM team, along with pretty much everyone else on the team, and flew us all out to Victoria, Canada.
I love Victoria, Canada.
So gorgeous, right? Go to Victoria,
stunning.
Canada. It's gorgeous. So much of Canada is gorgeous.
Yes,
but,
everywhere in Canada is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love Canada.
Right?
Let's all go to Canada.
Let's all move. Can we move the
Let's
podcast to
all
Canada?
Move to Canada.
They have great, like, theater in, like, Vancouver,
Yes.
too.
Oh my gosh, I love Vancouver.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Separate episode, I guess.
Why don't you just marry Canada?
If we could,
Okay.
honestly.
I would love to. I would love to move to Canada.
Yeah.
But you guys, they flew
So
you out
they
to
flew us all to Victoria, Canada for the closing of the tour. And it was like a whole little weekend, right? Like, the producers were very kind. They put us all up in hotels. A bunch of the people that had worked on the Broadway production and the tour came out. And we did like this fun little weekend of activities. Like, the one thing that stands out to me the most is we went to like these gorgeous gardens in Victoria. I cannot remember the name of them.
Bouchard Gardens.
Bouchard Gardens,
Yeah.
thank you. Go to the Bouchard Gardens.
the
in
Bouchard Garden.
Yeah, Bouchard.
The work is just going with it, okay? We're on the spot here. This is
Bouchard Gardens.
yeah,
I also went to those.
so gorgeous, right?
Stunning.
Stunning. So they took us all there. We're in like this little bus. We're on this little bus with all of the original, the actual Come From Away people, like Beulah from like
the
who
from
they were based
Gander,
on.
like yes, all in this little. There's maybe like 30 of us in this bus, and other people are in different buses, and they are just a hoot. They are a fucking hoot, and they're like singing these songs from Gander, Newfoundland, like with us, and like it was just a surreal experience, and like hearing them tell stories about like oh, this happened on that day, and like that are in relation to the show, and then getting sworn in as an honorary Newfoundlander by these actual people, and like kissing the cod and doing the things that are like in the show. That is by far been the craziest thing that I've
really
done.
fucking cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything like that.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like that before. I would love to kiss
That's
the
actually not
cod.
true. Because I don't need to do that.
The Vienna sausage was the worst part. That is a no-go for me.
I would have been a no, thank you, but thank you.
Yeah, no, and you had to do all the parts, and The Vienna, I don't do like hot dogs Vienna. Like that is none of the bologna. None of that is in my realm.
I remember you saying you're not a hot dog person.
Yeah, and I did it because I wanted to become an honorary Newfoundlander. And the very last part of the ceremony is the screech, which is like this vile liquor. Like it's vile. And it's like that's supposed to be the worst part, and it's the last thing. When I had the Vienna sausage, I may or may not have taken half of the screech immediately because I needed to not vomit. Because that's how bad.
Making you throw up anyway.
I didn't. It was bad. I would not recommend. But yeah.
Have you ever had cooked Vienna sausage?
No, but any of that is not my jam.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us.
Yeah.
I would love to hear kind of back to like, strict book on the line company management of like, what do you think makes a good company manager?
Yeah.
Like, what are the attributes that
Loaded
a person,
question.
well, I'm just saying like, what are the attributes that like, and skills that like a person needs to have that you think would make a good company manager?
Yeah, I think this is such an interesting question too, because the job is so random and encompasses a lot of things. I think the basic answer is it's somebody who's organized. It's somebody who can communicate effectively. It's somebody who can deal with a lot of different personalities, and somebody who can like remain calm and handle stressful situations. I think those are like 4 of the key elements. But as far as how somebody and I guess I should say somebody who has like generally like some business knowledge, whether it be like accounting or like how contracts are handled and like things like that. Those are all things you can learn though. And the way that people find themselves to company management is so vast and so different. There are people who've gotten their bachelor's in media and communications and are now have been company managers for decades and decades and decades. There are people who, and I'm speaking to people who actually know without giving names, there are people who have been dance captains for 2 decades on tour and then are going to leave, and their company managers are like, oh no, we actually think you'd be a really good company manager. You should stay on and do that. And they're like, okay. And now they've been a company manager for a decade. Having not gone to school for necessarily any of that. There are people who are lawyers who have now become company managers. So it's really, it can be anyone. But I think that those 4 kind of like core skills would really aid someone in excelling at the job. Yeah.
I said I was talking into the microphone. My microphone was off. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast,
Andrew. Oh my gosh. This has been a joy.
We're definitely going to have to have you come back and do something crazy.
Yeah, maybe do a little magic show.
Oh gosh.
I'd cry.
It would be my honor.
Yeah, no. And I mean, again, we've been saying this every single, this is the 3rd episode. I'm gonna be like every single episode. We've been saying this every single time. There's so many other aspects of this, that all of what we do that so many people never hear about, or they don't even think about before they step into moving to New York, coming here, doing theater, wanting to perform, wanting to do other art skills, being a carpentry, being a hairstylist, being a makeup artist, sewing, making costumes, designing costumes. It's like there's so many people who don't know that before they come here, and they wind up find it later.
And there are money and there are jobs there. And I like encourage anyone who's like interested to like look at the American Theater Wing, look at the Broadway League, like look at websites like that. They have like such good resources of like, I think the American Theater Wing specifically has like catalogs of online like videos of like every single job on Broadway, and like interviewing like this, somebody who does it, like how do you get into it? What is it? And like go and just watch them all and just see what's out there. Because like you never know, and what you don't know, you maybe find yourself interested in and then could pursue that. So
well, see, I think I said that exact same thing on the last episode.
Did you really?
Do you see how this works? Do you see how the mindset
we're coming full circle.
comes around? And maybe one day we can have you come back on, or maybe like other company managers come on and talk about like maybe specific if the audience would want that.
If you have more questions about like these things that we're talking about that we're not really like touching on, like let us know what your questions are, and like we are like, I'm so down to like revisit topics and episodes that we have already done.
Oh,
and like
yeah. And especially
get
like
deeper in, because we could
theater-
talk about for hours.
Theater management.
Yeah, theater management's a different thing.
Theater
Even-
management at all levels, whether it be like department head,
Mm-hmm.
stage management, production management. Girl, there's so many people.
There's
It-
so many
on
much
and
we
on
didn't
and
even
on.
touch
I
on.
said it takes a
takes-
town to
It
run
takes
to
a
do a
it
Broadway
village.
takes
show.
a village to run.
No, girl, it's
theater.
a town. You go
We didn't
village,
even talk about
town,
union
city.
benefits.
It's a
Oh my
city,
God.
babe.
Not union benefit. That maybe that's a different. Maybe
Whoa.
that's like a side.
Whoa.
So let's talk about union benefits.
That's part of what also company managers do.
Yeah, they also do
Yeah.
the union benefits. And I would not be paid or have any money to this day if it wasn't for Andrew. So, again, thank you so
you.
much.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys. This has
let-
been so much fun.
Let people know where they can find you.
You can find me on LinkedIn. That's the best place. You'll find me, Andrew McLaughlin, McLaughlin. And
Very
find me
professional.
there. Yeah.
Love
Wow.
that.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Into the Industry. We hope you have a fantastic week.
Fantastic week. Rest of your month. Have a fantastic summer. It's 2025.
This summer's going to be a good summer.
It fucking better.
Knock
Where's
on
the
wood.
applause for that? Thank you.
We're all gonna have a good summer.
We are.
have to have a good summer. Especially after
We deserve
the
it.
crock of shit that's been happening the last few months.
Everybody deserves to have a good summer.
And we'll see you next week, y'all.
We'll see you next week.
Again,
We'll see what we talk about next week. We're not so sure.
yeah, because we haven't planned that far ahead yet. So who knows? I don't know what next week is yet. So okay, bye.